In 1979, at the age of 18, orphaned and alone, I journeyed north to seek refuge with my fiancé, Gusinan. In the courtyard, Gusinan, dressed in his military uniform, looked at my rustic appearance. He turned to his beloved and said, "This is the little maid my parents hired from our hometown. In my past life, I produced our betrothal token and exposed Gusinan's lie on the spot." Humiliated and enraged, the woman he cherished left and married Gusinan's sworn enemy. Only to be tormented to death by her new husband. Gusinan married me, and he tormented me for a lifetime. I was pregnant 7 times, and I miscarried 7 times. It wasn't until the doctor declared I had permanently lost the ability to bear children, that Gusinan finally put his hands around my throat and sneered, saying I had killed his beloved, and was unworthy of bearing his child. In despair after learning the truth, I plunged the scalpel into Gusinan's body and leapt from the 18th floor. When I opened my eyes again, I heard Gusinan tell his beloved, "This is the little maid my parents hired from our hometown." Suppressing the bitterness in my heart, I nodded in agreement. "Yes, I am the maid the Gu family hired, Gusinan. In this lifetime, we are through, finished." I found out Gusinan mistook me for the hired help. General Gu slapped his son hard across the face. "This is outrageous. Go out there and clear this up immediately. Suyi is your betrothed fiancé. How could you call her a hired nanny? How can I face Suye's parents if you do this?" Back then, when Commander Gu and his wife were sent down to the farm for re-education, they nearly starved to death. It was my parents who secretly brought them food for 3 years, saving their lives. After his political rehabilitation, General Gu insisted on arranging a marriage between me and his son, Gusinan, despite my parents' objections. Later, when General Gu and Aunt Yuan returned to the city, the contact between our two families gradually faded. In my past life, I was single-minded in my desire to fulfill my parents' dying wish and marry Gusinan, but Gusinan never loved me. He even went so far as to request a transfer to the remote southwest just to avoid me, only returning home 3 times in 10 years. Aunt Yuan, who never got to see her son, resented me for driving away her only child. The look in Commander Gu's eyes grew increasingly disappointed with me, swallowing my pride. I applied to the army to become a military dependent. To avoid me, Gusinan volunteered for the front lines again. He went through hell and back, nearly losing his life. For her son's sake, Aunt Yuan tearfully begged General Gu, who forcibly brought me back to the compound, away from Gusinan. In that cold, unwelcoming compound, I endured endless mockery and scorn, wasting half my life without a single day of happiness. When I opened my eyes again, I saw Gusinan carefully holding his beloved. As if afraid she might suffer the slightest grievance, it suddenly dawned on me that a forced marriage is doomed to misery. "Gusinan, in this lifetime, I'm letting you go, and I'm letting myself go, too." In this life, I had just arrived at the family compound. Aunt Yuan doesn't hate me yet, and General Gu is still very fond of me. Only Gusinan, just like in my past life, vehemently opposed this arranged marriage. By law and I are in love, I will never accept an arranged marriage. You're the ones who owe Suye's parents a debt of gratitude. Why should I sacrifice my happiness to repay it for you? General Gu was so furious he was about to whip him with his belt. I stood in front of Gusinan, blocking the belt that was about to come down. "Uncle Gu, I came here this time just to find work as a housekeeper, to earn a living for myself. I've never met your son, and I never intended to marry him. The engagement between our families is hereby annulled." As I spoke, I took out the betrothal token given by Aunt Yuan, a crystal-carved wild goose, and held it out to Gusinan. "Brother Gu, I've heard that the wild goose is a symbol of fidelity. Please take this crystal goose back. Give it to the girl you truly love." Gusinan never expected me to be the one to call off the engagement. A wave of relief washed over him, mingled with a flicker of irritation. He studied me intently. "You really don't want to marry me. You'd rather just be the family maid." I nodded, meeting his gaze directly, all the bitterness from my past life burning in my eyes as I said, "Gusinan, I really don't like you, and I have no intention of marrying you." Gusinan's expression instantly darkened. He clenched the crystal goose so tightly his knuckles turned white, letting out a bitter, mirthless laugh born of sheer fury. "Fine, you'd better remember every word you said today. Don't you dare get any ideas about me." I settled in at the Gu residence, in the role of a country nanny. Commander Gu and Aunt Yuan felt terribly guilty and offered to find me a respectable job. I shook my head and refused. "I'm just a country girl. I don't know how to do anything except laundry and cooking. Right now, I don't have a single penny to my name." The travel money to come find Gusinan was scraped together, penny by penny, by the folks back in my hometown. My first priority is to earn money and pay back the travel funds everyone in the village lent me. Seeing how insistent I was about becoming a nanny, Commander Gu and Auntie Yuan had no choice but to reluctantly agree. Stepping back into the Gu family kitchen, my body moved as if by muscle memory. The sweet and sour pork ribs and winter melon meatball soup I made left General Gu and Aunt Yuan utterly astonished. Su Yi, I had no idea you were such a talented cook. I smiled wryly to myself. Of course I am. In my past life, I spent 40 years in this very house, waiting on your entire family. I know what my family likes to eat better than any housekeeper. Knowing General Gu's fondness for sweet and sour pork ribs, I swallowed my pride and camped out at the back door of the state-run restaurant for a month. That's how I finally got the chef to relent and teach me his signature dish. For Aunt Yuan's favorite winter melon meatball soup, I burned my hands with countless blisters. Finally managed to make a meatball soup with a clear broth and tender meat. Gu Xinan picked up a few strands of his favorite braised dried tofu shreds and sneered, "Save your little schemes. You think learning to cook a few dishes my parents like makes you worthy of being a daughter-in-law of the Gu family." General Gu slammed his hand on the table. "Eat it or get out." Gu Xinan threw his chopsticks down, grabbed his coat, and stormed out. Once again, father and son parted on bad terms. I fought back tears, wishing I could just bury my face in my bowl. I cursed the second chance at life, given to me in my most powerless years, utterly alone in the world, with no home to call my own. Even the letter of introduction from my old production brigade has expired. If I didn't have the nerve to shamelessly cling to the Gu household, I'd probably end up a vagrant, sent back to my hometown, wouldn't I? Just a little longer. Once I've saved up enough money, I can leave the Gu family, or perhaps find work as a maid for another household. That's how you get the temporary residence permit sorted. I want to put down roots in this city. I want to go to school. In this life, I also want to be someone useful to society, through my deliberate avoidance. Gu Xinan and I lived under the same roof, yet for a long time, we never crossed paths. While he was at work, I would clean, do the laundry, and cook. By the time he got home, I had already eaten in the kitchen and retreated to the maid's room to read. Soon enough, I received my first month's salary. Aunt Yuan gave me 20 yuan, I took out 15 yuan, sent it back to my hometown, and asked the village head to help me return it to the folks. With the remaining 5 yuan, I decided to go to the supply and marketing cooperative to buy some pencils, erasers, and notebooks. To my surprise, I ran into Gu Xinan and his cherished first love, Jian Bailan, right there. Seeing me following behind them, Gu Xinan's face flushed with anger as he shouted loudly, "Su Yi, have you no shame? I've already told you, I will never accept an arranged marriage forced by the older generation. Even if you followed me to the ends of the earth, I would never marry a country bumpkin like you." A ripple of mocking laughter spread through the crowd. My face burned with embarrassment. And I couldn't help but explain, "I wasn't following you. I'm here to buy a pencil." Jiang Bailan tugged at Gu Xinan's sleeve. "Xinan, we've all misunderstood Sui. Maybe she really did just come to buy a pencil." Gu Xinan sneered. "What could a barely literate woman who didn't even finish primary school possibly need a pencil for? Bailan, you're too naive. You have no idea what some women are willing to do just to stay in the city." I looked up, my gaze fixed firmly on Gu Xinan, and mustered the courage to retort, "If I really wanted to stay in the city, I wouldn't have broken off our engagement." At my words, the crowd erupted in an instant uproar. "What? This young woman is actually Battalion Commander Gu's fiancée. Then who is that girl beside him? The one holding Battalion Commander Gu's hand. Can't you tell? She's the mistress." Obviously, Jiang Bailan's face went pale. She desperately wrenched her hand free from Gu Xinan's grasp and ran off in tears. Gu Xinan's face turned ashen, and he glared at me with a look that could kill. "Su Yi, if anything happens to Bailan, I'll end you." With that, he pushed through the crowd and ran after Jiang Bailan. I cast an indifferent glance at his resolute, retreating figure. I turned and walked into the supply and marketing cooperative to buy the paper, pens, and ink I needed. Back home, I took out my fountain pen and ink, ready to practice my calligraphy. Suddenly, the door to the maid's room was kicked open from the outside. Gu Xinan stormed in with a face like thunder, snatched the ink bottle from the desk, and smashed it violently onto the floor. Shards of glass flew everywhere, leaving several bleeding cuts on my calf. The pain brought tears to my eyes. Seeing me injured, Gu Xinan paused, as if a thought had struck him, and sneered once more. "First, you spread vicious rumors outside to ruin Bailan's reputation. And now you're putting on a pitiful act for me. Su Yi, I truly underestimated the cunning of a little maid like you." Gritting my teeth against the pain, I protested. "I didn't spread rumors. I never intended to ruin Miss Zhang's reputation." Gu Xinan completely ignored my explanation. His face was cold as he grabbed my arm and dragged me outside. "Now everyone out there is saying that Bailan is the homewrecker who ruined our engagement. Bailan is being driven to her grave by all the gossip. Go. Go and explain to everyone right now that ours was an arranged marriage, and the engagement was called off long ago. With my legs a bloody mess, I was forcibly taken to the cultural troupe by Gu Sinan. Jiang Bailan's eyes were red from crying, and the moment she saw Gu Sinan appear, she let out a sob and threw herself into his arms. Gu Sinan pushed me away on instinct. I stumbled backward and fell into a pair of cold, waiting arms. Liang Jikai, I stared, dazed, at the man holding me, in my past life. Because I insisted on marrying Gu Sinan, to get her revenge, Jiang Bailan married Gu Sinan's sworn enemy. That man was none other than Liang Jikai, who now stood before her. The Gu and Liang families were of equal social standing. Gu Sinan and Liang Jikai had been at odds since childhood. Later, I heard that after Liang Jikai married Jiang Bailan, he subjected her to constant torment and abuse. Unable to bear the humiliation, Jiang Bailan drowned herself in a river. I had no intention of getting involved in the romantic entanglements and vendettas of those children from the compound. I stood up, walked into the middle of the crowd, met Gu Sinan's threatening gaze, and explained loudly, "It's true that Gu Sinan and I were once engaged, but that arrangement has been called off. Gu Sinan and Jiang Bailan are in a proper, committed relationship. There's no affair going on. I'm not Gu Sinan's fiancé. I'm just the family's housekeeper." With that, I pushed through the crowd and hurried off toward the clinic. Gu Sinan's expression softened slightly. He glanced at my profusely bleeding calf, and a hint of guilt unconsciously crept into his eyes. "Suyi, wait, I'll drive you to the clinic." Jiang Bailan suddenly let out a cry and fainted into Gu Sinan's arms. After a moment's hesitation, Gu Sinan scooped Jiang Bailan up into his arms. He turned his head and said to me, "Wait here for me, I'll take Bailan back to her dorm first. Then I'll take you to the clinic." With that, he picked up Jiang Bailan and hurried away. I stared blankly at his retreating figure for a while. I secretly envied Jiang Bailan. Such unwavering devotion is something I've never experienced in 2 lifetimes. I didn't wait there. Dragging my legs, numb with pain, I turned and walked toward the clinic. Suddenly, a pair of large hands wrapped around my waist. I gasped in surprise as I was swept clean off my feet. Liang Jikai's mocking voice reached my ears. "You're bleeding out, and you're still stubbornly holding on, with a temper as sour and stubborn as yours. No wonder you can't outmaneuver that delicate little flower. Jiang Bailan, come on, get in my car, I'll take you to the clinic." And just like that, Liang Jikai scooped me up in his arms. He carried me from the cultural troupe to the clinic, and then from the clinic to the residential compound. Seeing my legs covered in cuts and bruises, Commander Gu flew into a rage. Aunt Yuan's face was also dark with displeasure as she glared at Jiang Bailan. Gu Sinan, having failed to find me at the entrance of the cultural troupe, hurried home in a panic. The moment he stepped through the door, General Gu kicked him squarely in the side. "Suyi has already agreed to call off the engagement. And you still have to bully her, apologize." Perhaps feeling guilty, Gu Sinan walked up to me and whispered an apology. Then, with a furrowed brow, he asked me why I hadn't waited for him at the door. I looked up and replied coldly with 3 words, "It hurt too much." A flicker of guilt crossed Gu Sinan's handsome face, before he launched into a relentless lecture. "You're partly to blame for this, you know. If you had just explained things clearly earlier, right there at the supply and marketing co-op, Bailan wouldn't have had to suffer such humiliation. Here's what we'll do. I'll bring Bailan over for dinner tomorrow. You make a few of your specialty dishes. Then, you apologize to her face to face. Once that's done, we can consider this whole matter settled." I let out a bitter laugh and pointed at my legs, which were wrapped in bandages. "I'm sorry. The doctor said the injury to my leg is quite serious and I need to stay in bed for a few days. I'm afraid I won't be able to cook for you all tomorrow." An awkward look crossed Gu Sinan's face as he spoke with some discomfort. "Let's do it another day. Then, once your leg has healed, I'll bring Bailan over for dinner." "Not in a few days, either," I cut in, interrupting his monologue. Gu Sinan's face darkened. "Suyi, I told you, my breaking off the engagement with you has nothing to do with Bailan. Can you please stop targeting her all the time?" I looked up, staring blankly at this man. So, in Gu Sinan's eyes, whether in my past life or this one, I have always been such a despicable person, petty and scheming. She always used their engagement as leverage to bully the woman he truly loved. I let out a bitter laugh and said to him, feigning nonchalance, "I'm not targeting her. I just mean, in a few days, I won't be here anymore. I guess, I won't have the chance to cook for you all again." Gu Sinan was taken aback, then suddenly blurted out urgently, "Not here. Where are you going? With both your parents gone, what's even back in your hometown?" "What, exactly? No one to rely on." so I can just wait around for those ill-intentioned relatives back home to swoop in and take everything I have. I shook my head and said, enunciating each word clearly, I'm not going back to my hometown. I've thought it over. Since we've called off the engagement, it's not right for me to keep living in your house. I've found a family. Once my leg heals, I'll go work as a nanny for them. I probably won't be coming to your house again. Perhaps my tone was too final, because even Gusinan's face showed a flicker of hurt. He said awkwardly, if you don't want to apologize, then forget it. At worst, I just won't bring Bailan home for dinner. You don't know anyone here. If you go out to work as a nanny and someone takes advantage of you, what will you do? Maybe it's better to just stay home. If you're worried about what people might think, I can request a transfer to the southwest with Bailan. My heart skipped a beat, and I instinctively turned to look at Aunt Yuan. Sure enough, upon hearing that her son was actively requesting a transfer to the remote southwest just to avoid me, Aunt Yuan's smile was hanging on by a thread. A wave of bitterness welled up in my heart. Gusinan, in this life, you don't have to go out of your way to avoid me anymore. I won't come to ruin your love, or your happy family, ever again. Just then, Liang Jikai suddenly walked in. Su Yi, your room is ready, let me carry you there. Gusinan looked at him in surprise, then at me, his face flushing and paling by turns. After a long pause, he suddenly let out a cold laugh. So that's why you're leaving in such a hurry. Found yourself a better prospect, have you? Su Yi, I really underestimated you. To stay in the city, you'd even get involved with someone like Liang Jikai. I froze for a moment, when the meaning of his words finally sank in. My face flushed crimson. Liang Jikai snapped to his senses and lunged forward, ready to strike him. I grabbed the back of his shirt from behind and held on tight. Mr. Liang, let it go. Unwilling to stay at the Gu residence any longer, Liang Jikai shot Gusinan a venomous glare. He scooped me up from the bed. Suddenly, my arm was grabbed by Gusinan. Let her go. Gusinan glared at us with fury in his eyes. As if he'd been betrayed, Liang Jikai sneered. On what grounds? Gusinan said with a face full of anger. On the grounds that we were once betrothed. Liang Jikai scoffed. You said it yourself, once betrothed. Wasn't that engagement called off ages ago? Gusinan retorted angrily. Even if the engagement is off, Su Ye's parents were kind to my family. I still have a duty to look out for her. Liang Jikai said with a sarcastic tone. What responsibility? Since when does an employer have any obligations towards their live-in maid? Gusinan was immediately at a loss for words. I let out a sigh, deciding it was time to make a clean break with Gusinan. Gusinan, Mr. Liang is right. Our engagement has been called off. I'm just the country girl your family hired to help around the house. You don't owe me anything. I won't be coming to your home anymore. And you don't have to transfer all the way to the southwest just to avoid me. Gusinan, let's just leave it at that. Goodbye. Actually, no, let's make it goodbye for good. I started working as a nanny for the Liang family. The Liang household was a small one. Liang Jikai's father was stationed with the Southern Province Military District, and his mother had accompanied him to provide care. At home, it was just Liang Jikai and his grandparents. Grandpa Liang and Grandma Liang were very easy to get along with, and I quickly settled into my life as their nanny. In the morning, I accompanied Granny Liang to the grocery store to buy meat and vegetables. In the afternoon, I went fishing with Grandpa Liang. After dinner in the evening, I retreated to my room alone to read and practice calligraphy. Liang Jikai happened to see me practicing my calligraphy copybook and let out a scornful laugh. The very next day, he came back with a huge box of master calligraphy copybooks. I thanked him profusely. You couldn't even buy these master copybooks at the Supply and Marketing Cooperative. Liang Jikai's ears flushed red, but he feigned nonchalance and waved his hand. Don't mention it. It's just junk the office was throwing out anyway. It was all headed for the recycling bin. I gave a small, closed-mouth smile. The next evening, 2 extra dishes appeared on the dinner table, sweet and sour spare ribs with preserved plums, and crispy fried pork slices. Granny Liang teased with a chuckle. My, looks like everything on the table tonight is Jikai's favorite, doesn't it? My face flushed, and I buried it in my rice bowl. Liang Jikai stole a glance at me, the tips of his ears growing slightly warm. After the meal, I mustered my courage and called out to Liang Jikai, who was about to go upstairs. Mr. Liang, I'd like to sign up for night school. It's just, I don't know where to sign up, or if they'd even accept someone like me. An out-of-towner, my face flushed with embarrassment, a little country girl like me, a housemaid no less, getting ideas above my station, wanting to go to night school and take the university entrance exams. Would Liang Jikai laugh at me? After all, in my past life, I had mentioned to Gu Sinan that I wanted to continue my studies and take the university entrance exam. Back then, I naively believed that simply getting into university and becoming a college student would make me worthy of Gusinan, who had already become a regimental commander. At the time, Gusinan just gave me a contemptuous glance and said coldly, "You're in your 20s now, surely you don't still want to go back to middle school, you're married now, your place is at home, taking good care of your parents, that's your duty, given a second chance at life. I no longer yearn for elusive love, I want to give it a shot and see if I can get into university." Could I ever reach such heights that even Gusinan would have to look up in awe? Liang Jikai agreed to make some inquiries for me. To my surprise, the very next day, he drove me to the night school to get registered. Suppressing my excitement, I paid the enrollment fee and collected a stack of textbooks. On the way back, my steps were light, and I couldn't help but hum the folk songs from my hometown. Liang Jikai gave a soft chuckle, his peach blossom eyes looking on gently. "Just for a night school class, and you're this happy?" I nodded emphatically. "I am, Mr. Liang, thank you, I really am so grateful. It was only when I went to enroll that I found out the night school was truly for locals. You needed a local household registration to sign up. Liang Jikai must have pulled a lot of strings to get me registered." Liang Jikai smiled and said, "If you really want to thank me, call me brother." Blushing, I whispered in a tiny voice, "Brother Liang." Liang Jikai smiled with satisfaction. Gusinan's trembling voice suddenly came from behind. "Su Yi, what did you just call him?" Hearing the accusatory tone in Gusinan's voice, Liang Jikai's face darkened. As if struck by a sudden thought, he raised his arm, draped it over my shoulder, and said with an intimate expression, "What's the big deal? Little Yi and I are close, so she calls me brother." Gusinan didn't look at him. His eyes were fixed on me as he asked, his voice tight with suppressed anger. "Su Yi, with all the history between our families, you're calling him brother. You've never once called me brother." I cut Gusinan off impatiently. "Battalion Commander Gu, I'm grateful that General Gu and Aunt Yuan took me in back then and even gave me a job, but, as you yourself said, I was just the little country girl your family hired to be a maid. I suppose a maid has no right to call the master of the house brother, does she?" Gusinan seemed to be suddenly reminded of the scene from when we first met. His face turned deathly pale. After a moment of stunned silence, he explained with a bitter smile, "Su Yi, that's not what I meant." I cut off his feeble explanation once more. "Whether it is or isn't, it doesn't matter anymore. Battalion Commander Gu, you wouldn't want Miss Jiang to get the wrong idea if we kept seeing each other, would you? I don't think there's any need for us to have any further contact from now on. If we meet again, it's best if we act like strangers." Perhaps the words, "not important," had wounded Gusinan's pride. After that day, I didn't see him again for a long time. I only heard by chance that, just like in his previous life, he had submitted a request to be transferred to the Southwestern Front. Jiang Bailan went there too, following the cultural troupe. In this life, with me not getting in their way, Gusinan and Jiang Bailan should be able to find their happy ending soon, right? In this life, I finally found a purpose and a direction to strive for. My grades at night school improved rapidly, and after 6 months, the teacher personally wrote me a letter of recommendation. Armed with that recommendation letter, I skipped a grade and entered the 11th grade. Grandma Liang, feeling sorry for me being an orphan with nowhere else to go, insisted I continue living with her and even offered to pay me a housekeeper's wage. I turned down the pay. Instead, I just helped Granny Liang with the housework and tended her little vegetable patch in the evenings and on weekends, which covered my rent. When Liang Jikai heard I was taking the college entrance exams, he brought over another big box of study guides and mimeographed practice tests for me. I looked at the brand new reference books and the test papers, still smelling of fresh ink. I asked him pointedly, "And these, are they scrap paper from your office too?" Liang Jikai gave my messy bedhead a good, firm ruffle. "Study hard for the exam. If you get in, I'll personally see you off to university." During this time, Commander Gu and Auntie Yuan also sent over a thick envelope. Inside was 1,000 yuan, along with some grain ration coupons and meat coupons. I sent it back exactly as I received it. In my past life, it was my overestimation of myself that caused them to be separated from their only son by 1,000 miles, unable to reunite for 10 long years. In this life, I want no further entanglement whatsoever with the Gu family. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, the day of the college entrance exams arrived. To my surprise, Gusinan had taken leave and traveled all this way just to see me off for my exam, yet, he still couldn't beat Liang Jikai to it. He watched as I shouldered my backpack and climbed into Liang Jikai's jeep. In Gusinan's eyes, there seemed to be a regret and sorrow I couldn't comprehend. "Go, Su Yi, you can do this," I nodded, at a loss for words. and could only manage a flat, "Thank you," Liang Jikai, intent on provoking him, deliberately said in a loud voice, "Little Leaf, it's a good thing you broke off the engagement with this guy all those years ago, otherwise, you'd still be working as a free live-in nanny for that family. How would you have ever gotten the chance to take the college entrance exams? You really should be thanking Battalion Commander Gu for the mercy of not marrying you." Gu Xinan's face went pale. His mouth opened and closed, as if he wanted to say something. In the end, not a single word came out. I could only watch helplessly as my former fiancé got into the passenger seat of my arch-rival's car. After the jeep had driven a short distance, I suddenly heard the sound of an argument coming from behind me. Through the rearview mirror, I saw Jiang Bailan, once so elegant and dignified, looking like a madwoman. She was clutching Gu Xinan's clothes, scratching and clawing at him, crying and cursing all the while. But that was Gu Xinan and Jiang Bailan's story, and it had nothing to do with me for a long time now. I finished my final exam with complete focus. Liang Jikai came to take me home, bringing a brilliant bouquet of sunflowers. It was on the way that I learned from him that Gu Xinan had actually been in line for a promotion after the last battle. To everyone's surprise, Jiang Bailan appeared on the battlefield. In the rescue operation for Jiang Bailan, Gu Xinan's battalion lost 5 soldiers. Afterwards, although Gu Xinan was not demoted, he received a major disciplinary action, which was announced throughout the entire army. For the next 5 years, unless he risks his life for extraordinary merit, there will be no chance of promotion for him. I asked in surprise, why on earth did Jiang Bailan have to go to the front lines to find him? Liang Jikai scoffed. I heard she found a letter he'd written to another woman in Gu Xinan's suicide note. She threw a fit, insisting on going to confront him and get to the bottom of it. Who would have thought it would get 5 soldiers killed? What a walking disaster. I said nothing. This is the life Gu Xinan chose for himself. All I can do is respect his choice and wish him well. Half a month later, my university acceptance letter finally arrived at the family compound. When Grandpa Liang and Grandma Liang heard I got into Capital Medical University, they were so delighted they sent the guard to buy celebratory sweets. Then, taking me along, we delivered wedding candies to every household in the residential compound. When we arrived at the Gu family's home, I keenly sensed that Aunt Yuan and Commander Gu's smiles seemed a little forced. Upon hearing that I had been admitted to Capital Medical University, Commander Gu gave me an imported fountain pen. Aunt Yuan gave me a red envelope with money inside. As I was leaving the Gu residence, I ran right into Gu Xinan and Jiang Bailan. The moment Jiang Bailan saw me, her expression instantly contorted. "Su Yi, you've already broken off the engagement with Brother Gu. How can you still have the nerve to cling to him? Don't think that just because you got into university, you're suddenly good enough for Brother Gu." To be perfectly honest, I'm carrying Brother Gu's child. Gu Xinan's face changed. He wrenched his hand free from Jiang Bailan's grasp. He looked at me anxiously and said, "Su Yi, it's not what she says. What happened between us was just an accident." Jiang Bailan let out a shriek, rushed forward, and slapped Gu Xinan across the face. "Gu Xinan, are you even a man? I'm carrying your child. What are you trying to say now? Now that you've seen your precious little Yi, all grown up and a university student, do you regret breaking off the engagement with her? Trying to dump me so you can run back to your little Yi? I'm telling you, in your dreams, if you dare abandon me and the child, I'll report you to the military." Gu Xinan, exasperated by her scene, couldn't help but reach out and shove her hard. "Jiang Bailan, stop dragging the innocent into this. You know perfectly well how that child in your belly came to be." Jiang Bailan, shoved with such force, tumbled down the entire flight of stairs. Jiang Bailan let out a piercing scream as blood began to seep through the hem of her skirt. My baby, my baby." It was said that Jiang Bailan's unborn child, in the end, could not be saved. She threatened to report it to the police, to have Gu Xinan sent to prison. Aunt Yuan pleaded desperately, and General Gu had Gu Xinan tied up and beaten so severely that a leather belt snapped. Gu Xinan was beaten black and blue, yet he gritted his teeth and stubbornly refused to agree to marry Jiang Bailan. In the end, Aunt Yuan knelt before Gu Xinan, forcing him to finally consent to the marriage with Jiang Bailan. I couldn't understand what Gu Xinan was so dead set against. In his past life, he was willing to fight on the battlefield and not return home for a decade, all just to be with Jiang Bailan. In this life, I've stepped aside for their love, so why is he backing out now? Soon enough, the day for university to begin arrived. The first day of school happened to be the wedding day of Gu Xinan and Jiang Bailan. I didn't attend, but I asked Granny Liang to pass along a red envelope on my behalf. To my surprise, 2 days later, I actually saw a disheveled, unshaven Gu Xinan downstairs at the dormitory. He had actually jilted his bride at the altar. Seeing me step out of the dorm, Gu Gusinan rushed towards me without a second thought. Suyi, you've been reborn too, haven't you? My mind went blank with a sudden buzz. Could it be that Gusinan has also come back? Gusinan gave a bitter smile and nodded, seeing the disbelief in my eyes. Yes, I've come back too. It's just, I came back too late. As if struck by a thought, hope reignited in Gusinan's eyes, and he said to me with visible excitement, it's not too late, Suyi. I came back during the wedding ceremony. I never registered the marriage with Jiang Bailan. Come away with me. Let's go to the southwest together. We can start our lives over, you and I. What do you say? I took a step back and raised my left hand toward him. I'm sorry, I'm already engaged. All these years, I never worked as a maid in the Gu household. My hands, steeped in the world of books, have been kept fair and slender. On the ring finger of her left hand, an exquisite and dazzling diamond ring pierced Gusinan's eyes. The cold glint of the diamond was so sharp it nearly blinded Gusinan. His eyes stung and swelled, and he instinctively took 2 steps back. Their voice was flustered and panicked. How could you get engaged all of a sudden? Didn't you come here for university? A jeep suddenly pulled to a stop right behind us. Liang Jikai walked over to me, carrying 2 lunch boxes. Holding his hand, I said to Gusinan, enunciating each word clearly, Battalion Commander Gu, the university has no rule against being engaged while studying. Brother Liang proposed to me on the very day he brought me here to register. I accept. We'll get married after graduation. Gusinan's head snapped up, his eyes blazing with fury as he glared at Liang Jikai. Before throwing a vicious punch, Liang Jikai dropped his lunchbox and swung back with a retaliatory fist. The lunchbox hit the ground, spilling the braised pork belly everywhere. School security guards rushed over and pulled the two apart. Staring at the braised pork belly trampled into the ground, Gusinan sneered and said, Liang Jikai, you don't understand Suyi at all. She's a vegetarian and absolutely hates eating meat. You don't even know her. So what makes you think you can make her happy? Liang Jikai burst out laughing. Gusinan, you're the one who doesn't really understand Suyi. Suyi's favorite dish is braised pork belly. Gusinan shook his head desperately. Impossible. She never ate meat in our house. Liang Jikai gave me a pained look and said coldly, that's because she didn't dare. She felt like a burden living under your roof. She was already a nuisance just eating your food for free, so she was too embarrassed to eat the meat you bought. But it's fine, Gusinan, if you lot don't care about Suyi, then I damn well will. Marry me, Suyi. I'll make sure you never have to go without braised pork belly for the rest of your life. Gusinan was thunderstruck, standing there completely dumbfounded. After that day, Liang Jikai made a call to Commander Gu. Commander Gu personally led a team to take Gusinan back into custody. It was 3 years before I heard news of Gusinan again. That year, I finally graduated from university and decided to return with Liang Jikai to hold our wedding. The military family compound looked just as familiar as ever. The only difference was that Commander Gu and Auntie Yuan had already moved out of the compound. It's said that after Gusinan and Jiang Bailan got married, unable to endure his emotional neglect, Jiang Bailan was caught in bed with her dance partner from the cultural troupe. In a fit of rage, Gusinan accidentally beat Jiang Bailan severely, leaving her seriously injured. To save Gusinan, his father, Commander Gu, sacrificed a lifetime's worth of dignity, pleading for help everywhere and paying the Jiang family a hefty sum in compensation. In the end, Gusinan was sentenced to 3 years in prison. The day I married Liang Jikai happened to be the day Gusinan was released from prison. Gaunt and holding a bouquet of lilies, he appeared before me. I could hardly believe this was the same dashing war hero from my past life, the one who commanded the battlefield with such vigor. He saw me standing beside Liang Jikai, radiant in my white wedding dress, smiling like a flower. With a bitter smile, Gusinan offered me the bouquet of flowers in his hand. I instinctively took 2 steps back. Gusinan looked at me with wounded eyes. Xiao Yezi, I'm not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to see how you look in a wedding dress. A hazy memory surfaced in my mind, from my past life, from the time Gusinan and I got married. Aunt Yuan had originally prepared a wedding dress for me, but then, Jiang Bailan tearfully confessed that she had always dreamed of wearing a wedding dress and standing side by side with Gusinan, so Gusinan simply gave that custom-made wedding dress to Jiang Bailan instead. In the end, I showed up at the wedding ceremony wearing a white dress I had hastily borrowed. I endured endless mockery and humiliation. Thankfully, in this lifetime, I finally met the right person and wore the wedding dress meant only for me. Gusinan was still determined to give me that bouquet of lilies, but Liang Jikai snatched it away and flung it far off. Gusinan glared at him with fury. Liang Jikai sneered, Gusinan, you keep professing your affection for Suyi, yet you don't even know she's allergic to lily pollen. the one who truly loves lilies is Jiang Bailan, isn't she?" Gu Xinan's expression shattered, his lips trembling as he looked at me, murmuring, I'm sorry, Su Yi, I didn't know." "That's right. Only someone who truly loves you would care about your every move, they would know what you like and what you dislike." Gu Xinan's feelings for me were nothing more than reluctance, with no trace of affection. After coming to this realization, I offered a gentle, reassuring smile and said, "It's fine, we were never close to begin with, so it's perfectly normal you didn't know I'm allergic to lily pollen. The banquet is about to start, let's go in and take our seats." I greeted Gu Xinan with the same practiced ease I extended to all my other guests. The unfamiliar, distant attitude in my greeting made Gu Xinan's eyes burn red. A tremor flickered in the depths of his eyes, his fists clenched tight, as if he were sinking into a deep well of regret and anguish. Yet, I had no time to spare for his sorrows or joys. "My wedding is about to begin." The moment I turned to leave, I thought I heard a faint murmur behind me. Su Yi, actually, back then, as the celebratory cannons sounded, I could no longer make out what Gu Xinan had left unsaid, but it doesn't matter anymore. In this life, he walked the path he chose, and now, it's time for me to walk my own. Story 2, in my past life. My husband hid his family history of ALS and refused to get a premarital health check. After we married, he began showing symptoms and eventually became bedridden. Our son developed the disease as an adult, and I spent the better part of my life dutifully caring for both of them. It wasn't until my 60th birthday that I accidentally overheard my husband on a call with Li Man. "Man, I've known about my condition since I was a child. The only reason I didn't marry you was because I couldn't bear to see you suffer." My son chimed in, "Auntie Man, when are you coming over? I miss you so much." In the depths of despair and collapse, I was reborn, watching Li Man pull out all the stops to marry Zhang Fan. I packed up and cleared out for them overnight. After being reborn back in high school, my first priority was to find my real family. My biological father is the chairman of the Shunpeng Group. In my previous life, my 80-year-old father didn't find me until I was nearly 60. He told me I had been switched at birth by the delivery nurse. It was during his child's school entrance medical checkup at age 6 that he discovered the blood type didn't match. Further tests later revealed that the child he had been raising was not his biological son. For over 50 years, he never stopped searching for me, while my birth mother, heartbroken over the matter, had long since passed away. The reunion went very smoothly, which is no surprise given that my biological father had been looking for me for over a decade by then. I arrived at the headquarters of Shunpeng Group and explained the situation to the receptionist. The receptionist immediately arranged for someone to take me for a paternity test. After all, they had been doing this for over a decade and had the whole process down to a fine art, from the test and receiving the report to meeting my biological parents. The entire process took less than an hour. Unlike the frail, faltering man from my past life, the father before me now stood tall and robust. My mother held me with the utmost care, her makeup streaked by tears. I gently patted my mother's back and said, "Mom, Dad, I need to get back to school." My parents had braced themselves for a struggle to win my recognition, never expecting me to accept them and this new reality with such calm composure. With a sense of relief, they sent me back to school. As I passed by the school restroom, I happened to run into Zhang Fan, my husband from a past life. The surrounding classmates all burst into laughter. "Is Zhuke here to check up on you again? Zhang Fan's just using the bathroom. You don't have to stick to him that closely, do you?" I shot them a glance and said, I wasn't following him. Not only the classmates around us, but even Zhang Fan didn't believe it. "Alright, Zhuke. Last time at the beach, Li Man genuinely couldn't find anyone else to help, so I applied sunscreen for her. It's normal for classmates to help each other out. Why do you have to make such a big deal out of it?" The moment he mentioned it, I remembered, that really did happen in my past life. "So you helped her apply it all over, even the private areas?" Zhang Fan said with righteous indignation, "For sunscreen to work, you have to cover every inch." Li Man came running over from somewhere and accidentally stepped on my foot. "Kiki, I'm sorry. I was the one who asked Brother Fan to help me with the sunscreen. You know how sensitive my skin is. It stings so badly in the sun. I only asked Brother Fan to help me with sunscreen because I couldn't find anyone else. If you're going to blame anyone, blame me. Brother Fan has nothing to do with this." As she spoke, her tears began to fall. Zhang Fan's heart ached at the sight, and he quickly wiped her tears away, but Li Man's tears only fell harder, until finally, she ran out in distress. Zhang Fan shot me a glare and hurried after her. "This is all your fault. Was it really worth making such a fuss over something so trivial?" 2. The class bell had already rung, but the two of them were only just making their way back to the classroom. Zhang Fan's clothes were disheveled and in complete disarray. As for Li Man, while her clothes were still relatively neat, there were faint, mottled stains of an unidentified white substance on her school uniform trousers. Seeing this, my classmates started to jeer, their eyes gleaming with the thrill of impending drama, all turning to look at me in unison. After all, everyone knew I had pursued Zhang Fan for 3 long years, and it was only a few days ago that I had finally become his girlfriend. But who could have imagined that now he was entangled with another girl? The juicy drama everyone was eagerly anticipating did not unfold as expected. I kept my head down the whole time, completely focused on the problem in front of me, and couldn't even be bothered to glance their way. Seeing my utter lack of reaction, Zhang Fan's face darkened, and he stormed back to his seat in a huff. The moment the bell rang for the end of class, I made a beeline for the sports field. It was the school sports day, and I had signed up for the shot put competition. Zhang Fan disliked the smell of sweat on me. In my past life, I hardly ever exercised, and over time, my health deteriorated. Yet, even when I was unwell myself, I still devoted myself wholeheartedly to caring for him while he was bedridden. I naively believed that in matters of the heart, if you gave enough, you were bound to receive an equal measure in return. I was such a fool, from beginning to end. The only person I ever moved was myself. In this life, I'm determined to pick up my old hobbies again, so I'll start by joining the school sports meet. Zhang Fan bought water for all the athletes at the base camp, and he even got a milk tea especially for Li Man. Li Man pretended to be annoyed and said, "Fan Ji, you know I'm trying to lose weight, and you still bought me milk tea. You're so mean." It seemed the number of bottled water and milk tea servings had been meticulously counted. By sheer coincidence, they ran out just before it was my turn. In response, I simply opened my thermos with a calm expression and took a few gentle sips. It didn't matter, having lived to such an old age in my previous life, I had long since lost interest in milk tea and iced water. Even in the sweltering heat of summer, I was in the habit of carrying a thermos with me. Li Man acted as if she had only just noticed me, feigning surprise as she said, "Cuckoo. Why aren't you drinking what Brother Fan bought? Are you still upset?" Hearing this, Zhang Fan immediately turned to me with an impatient scowl and snapped, "Zhu Ku, are you quite finished? You've been wearing that sour face since yesterday. Who exactly are you trying to impress?" I lifted my head slightly, looking at him with a face full of surprise. "Have you been watching me all this time?" Zhang Fan jumped up in a fluster at those words, shouting loudly, "Who's watching you? I don't like you at all. You're the one who shamelessly forced yourself on me." Even though I already knew the outcome, hearing him say those words with my own ears felt like a heavy blow to my heart, sending a sharp pang of pain through me. I slowly took a deep breath, trying to suppress the churning ache in my chest, and said in the calmest voice I could muster, "Fine, let's break up." Upon hearing this, a flicker of light instantly appeared in Li Man's eyes. Meanwhile, a flash of panic crossed Zhang Fan's face, followed immediately by an angry shout, "Who do you think you are, to decide when we're together and when we break up?" Before I could even get another word out, Zhang Fan had already stormed off in a huff. 3. I'm truly done with this back and forth with him. I'll wait for the right moment to lay everything out on the table, once and for all. Right now, my mind is completely focused on the match at hand. Even though I barely exercised these past few years, the foundation I built before high school hasn't completely deserted me. I actually came in 3rd place in the shot put event, even though it was just 3rd place. For someone who hadn't exercised in ages, it was a huge confidence boost and a real morale booster. When I came back with my award, I noticed a new look of respect and admiration in the eyes of many of my classmates. Zhang Fan, however, strode over with a deep frown and a sour look on his face, and without a word, shoved a cup of bubble tea right into my arms. "It's just a cup of bubble tea. Is that really worth breaking up with me over? Don't you dare spout such nonsense in front of Li Man again." She was so upset she was nearly in tears. With that, he turned and hurried away without a backward glance. When I got back to the dorm, my phone screen suddenly lit up. It was Li Man who had sent me a message, along with an audio clip. The message was brief and direct. "Zhu Ku, in this lifetime I will never hand Zhang Fan over to you." Reading this message, everything suddenly became clear to me. No wonder Zhu Ku has been acting like a completely different person lately. So she was reborn too, but she knew in her previous life that Zhang Fan's family had a hereditary history of ALS. Even after being reborn, Li Man is still rushing to marry Zhang Fan. Either she truly loves him, either she was reborn but only retained memories of Zhang Fan before his illness. But either way, if she wants Zhang Fan, I couldn't be more thrilled. I casually clicked on the audio file and knew exactly what it was the moment I heard it. The audio began with a series of blushing, wet smacking sounds, faintly interwoven with suggestive, ambiguous splashes. Then came the sound of their ragged breaths, intermingling, his and hers. Her voice grew louder, more urgent, rising in pitch, accompanied by his unrestrained, breathless groans. Moments later, the fragmented murmur of their conversation drifted into the air. Baby, you're amazing, I love you so much. So, just now, you still wouldn't break up with Zhu Ku. I was just fooling around with her. It's you I'm serious about. After that, there was nothing but screams and slapping sounds. I casually forwarded the audio to the class group chat and at Li Man. The class chat exploded instantly. At Li Man, don't send me this kind of thing anymore. Zhang Fan and I have broken up. High school life was already pretty dull, so the moment that audio was posted to the class group, it blew up. A slight salute, to show my respect. Oh my god, that voice, that acting, I'm begging you to join the industry. Pausing the video, guys, I'll be right back. Zhang Fan kept sending me private messages, urging me to delete the post immediately when I didn't respond. He started frantically calling me. I simply turned my phone off and got down to my math problems. I was sure they'd both come to confront me the next day, but Zhang Fan acted like he couldn't care less. Li Man, on the other hand, had red, swollen eyes. She'd clearly been crying for a long time. As for the other students, while they didn't say a word out loud, their barely contained smirks made it perfectly clear they were secretly amused, just waiting to see the drama unfold. Of course, there were also the inevitable troublemakers who deliberately went up to Li Man. Teacher Li Man, just how amazing is Brother Fan? Look, he's made you cry so hard your eyes are all puffy. Li Man's face flushed bright red in an instant. Sobbing, she turned and fled the classroom, and was nowhere to be seen for the rest of the afternoon. Fine by me. At least I get some peace and quiet. But who would have thought, after evening self-study, Zhang Fan actually stopped me right at the classroom door. Because of what happened yesterday, Li Man cried all night long. She didn't get a wink of sleep. I'm being the bigger person and letting it go, but you absolutely have to go apologize to Li Man. She is a girl, after all, she's sensitive and has her pride. Hearing that, I was both annoyed and amused. She has any shame, then why did she record your little mess and send it to me? Zhang Fan shot me a look and said with a pout, she's just being a bit childish. Why bother getting worked up over it? In short, you have to go and apologize to her, and what's more, you need to give up your guaranteed admission spot for her. As long as you do that, I'll make up for any other losses you incur. You have my word, give up my spot. For Li Man, hearing that, everything suddenly became clear to me. No wonder they've been leaving me alone today. They were saving their little ambush for right here. In my past life, I gave up my guaranteed admission spot, intending for Zhang Fan to take it, but he just turned around and handed it over to Li Man. This time, no matter what, I'm not going to sacrifice my own future for anyone else. With that thought, I seized the moment while Zhang Fan was distracted, bolted for the exit, and made sure to stomp hard on his foot as I ran past. Where did you get all that confidence from? Wholesale. Who wants your compensation anyway? 5. After that, I continued with my studies as usual. My academic performance has always been excellent. Everyone knew my spot in the direct admission program was a sure thing, but when the final list was posted, my name wasn't on it. Frantic with worry, I rushed to find my homeroom teacher for an explanation. Seeing my panicked expression, my homeroom teacher's face was instead filled with confusion. Didn't you cancel it yourself in the system? I was wondering why you suddenly changed your mind. Fighting back my panic, I quickly pulled out my phone and logged back into the university's official website. On the page, a few large characters stood out starkly. Confirm cancellation. My hands began to tremble uncontrollably. Someone must be playing tricks behind my back. I looked over the list of recommended admissions again, and this time, I saw Li Man's name on it. In an instant, everything became crystal clear. I found Li Man on the sports field, where she was locked in a passionate kiss with Zhang Fan. I strode forward and yanked Li Man down with a sharp tug. Zhang Fan was startled by the sudden scene. Once he recognized it was me, a smug look instantly flickered across his face. Zhu Ku, you said you didn't care about me. Before he could finish, I cut him off without mercy. Li Man, did you have something to do with the early admission list? Li Man's body trembled slightly as she spoke in a timid, faltering voice. Cuckoo. Didn't you promise Brother Fan you'd voluntarily give up your early admission spot? Seeing how hard you've been studying lately, I figured you must be aiming for University on the Gaokao and weren't interested in the early admission school anyway, right? I took a deep, deliberate breath, trying to steady myself. Through gritted teeth, I asked, word by word, so, Zhang Fan, Li Man, you tampered with my confirmed admission information, didn't you? Seeing that the truth was out, Zhang Fan dropped the pretense. So what if we did? Xiaoman isn't like you, she actually wants to continue her studies. Besides, I'm going to marry you as soon as you graduate, you'll have me, what does it matter whether you study or not? His shameless words made my blood boil, and I exploded, shouting at him, who would ever marry a scumbag like you? Who the hell do you think you are? I couldn't be bothered to waste another word on him and called the police right then and there. 6. When he found out I had called the police, Zhang Fan was hopping mad. Zhu, is this really necessary? I already promised to marry you. What more do you want? Li Man, standing to the side with eyes red from crying, said between sobs, Kiki, this guaranteed admission spot is so important to me. I promise I won't compete with you for Fan anymore. Okay, please, just let me off the hook this one time. Fortunately, the police response was incredibly swift. They arrived before the culprits could cause any more trouble. I handed over the recording of our recent conversation to the police. Upon hearing the recording play, Zhang Fan and Li Man turned deathly pale. With the evidence being irrefutable, they had nothing left to argue. They simply hung their heads in silence. The police subjected them to a thorough interrogation before taking both of them into custody in accordance with the law. Upon learning the truth of the matter, the school revoked Li Man's guaranteed admission spot. Since the final system confirmation deadline had passed, I was still unable to secure the guaranteed admission qualification. At that point, there were only 4 months left until the national college entrance exams. At this moment, I have no choice but to grit my teeth and study with everything I've got. I don't need to grow towards the sun, but I am determined to turn the tide against the wind. After countless days and nights of grueling effort and relentless hard work, my moment of reward has finally arrived. The moment I received my university acceptance letter, the emotions I had bottled up for so long burst forth like a broken dam, completely beyond my control. In my past life, in a moment of foolishness, I gave up my guaranteed university admission spot. I didn't even take the college entrance exam and rushed straight into the workforce. Back then, I was naive and ignorant, wholeheartedly believing that Zhang Fan's promises to me would be my lifelong support. Zhang Fan did indeed marry me as promised. At the time, I was moved to tears, convinced I was the happiest person in the world, but when it came to the premarital health check, he made every excuse to avoid it. No matter how much I tried to persuade him, he flatly refused. Honey, getting a checkup is so important, for you, for me, and for our future children. It's about taking responsibility for our future together. Why are you so against it? I was filled with confusion and disbelief, trying to reason with him. You just don't trust me. Fine, if that's how it is, then maybe we shouldn't get married at all. With that unreasonable remark, he turned to leave. To placate his inexplicable mood, I foolishly agreed to forego the premarital medical checkup. I didn't learn the truth until I was 60 years old. He had known all along that he had ALS, which is why he was dead set against getting the examination. His approach to me from the very beginning was nothing but an elaborately orchestrated deception. He wanted a free caretaker, someone to meticulously tend to his every need and shoulder the burdens of his life. He needed someone who would willingly endure hardship and toil for the woman he loved, and I, with my naive, love-struck mind, happened to be the perfect candidate in his eyes. I gently ran my fingers over the acceptance letter in my hands. Its tangible reality made me truly feel that in this life, my destiny would be utterly different from the last. I carefully put away my acceptance letter and hailed a cab to the graduation party. 7. The moment I stepped into the hotel, I saw Zhang Fan and Li Man beaming as they made the rounds, toasting everyone. To an outsider, it could have easily been mistaken for their wedding reception. I gave my roommate sitting next to me a gentle nudge with my elbow. What's all this commotion about? My roommate leaned in slightly, bringing his mouth close to my ear. I heard someone from our school got into University A. Everyone's guessing it must be the two of them. Seeing those two just irritates me. I really don't get why University A would even accept people like them. It's totally shattered my illusions about prestigious schools. The class monitor chimed in, agreeing. The college entrance exam only filters out the academically weak, not the morally bankrupt. Try not to let it get to you. By the way, where did Zhu get into? All the classmates around knew about how Li Man had tampered with my recommendation information. That's why none of them dared to casually ask how my exams went. What if I didn't do well? That would just be twisting the knife. Now that the class monitor had broken the ice, everyone perked up their ears, curious and waiting for my answer. I was just about to speak when someone shouted, Chairman Xiao is here. Chairman Xiao is the head of the Shunpeng Group, a prominent figure in the business world. He is also a shareholder of our high school and holds considerable sway in school affairs. And, of course, he is my father. Everyone rose to their feet to greet him, yet, he paid no attention to the surrounding pleasantries, his eyes darting around restlessly. The anxiety in his gaze suggested he was urgently searching for someone. I knew, deep down, that he was looking for me, so I quickly waved to him with great enthusiasm. My father's eyes lit up instantly. He quickened his pace and came straight over to sit in the empty seat beside me. As the saying goes, homecoming is fraught with mixed emotions. Sitting beside me, my father seemed momentarily at a loss, unsure of where to begin. He simply picked up his chopsticks in silence and kept serving food onto my plate. The onlookers exchanged bewildered glances, their eyes filled with curiosity and confusion, all privately wondering when I had become so familiar with Chairman Shao. Sure enough, some were green with envy. My father excused himself to take an urgent phone call. The moment he left, Li Man said in a snide tone, "I knew it. Who in their right mind wouldn't be interested in Fan? Turns out she's aiming for a higher branch. Just look at his age, he's old enough to be her father. She really isn't picky, is she?" Zhang Fan didn't say a word, but the indignant scowl on his face made it perfectly clear he agreed with Li Man's remarks. Hearing their comments, I found it all rather amusing, but I couldn't be bothered to argue with them. Anyway, father will be back soon, and he'll naturally explain my relationship to him to everyone then. There's no point in me wasting my breath on them here. Not long after father returned from his phone call, just as before, he sat down and continued to serve me food with his head bowed, completely ignoring everyone else. At that moment, the principal cleared his throat and announced loudly, "Students, one of our outstanding graduates from this year has been admitted to University A. This is a tremendous honor for our school, unprecedented since its founding. Let's give a big round of applause to congratulate this outstanding student." However, not a single student in the room applauded. Everyone simply sat in silence, and the atmosphere became rather awkward for a moment. 8. Only Zhang Fan and Li Man clapped vigorously, their applause sounding particularly jarring in the otherwise quiet space. Zhang Fan clapped enthusiastically while shouting at the top of his lungs, "Bravo, bravo, this student is truly outstanding." Standing on the stage, the principal felt embarrassed. He furrowed his brow and raised his voice to say, "What's going on? Everyone, where's the applause?" Only after the principal's urging did a smattering of half-hearted applause finally break out. Zhang Fan continued to enthusiastically chime in, "Principal, this student is truly a first in our school's history. Surely the school has some special reward in mind." Li Man quickly chimed in from the side, "I heard the school next door gives 100,000 to every student who gets into University A. Our school shouldn't offer less than that, right?" The principal had initially felt somewhat gratified by the enthusiastic response, but the moment Li Man mentioned that 100,000 yuan figure, his face instantly turned ashen. It would have been better if they'd just kept their mouths shut. The principal forced a smile and said with a chuckle, "Don't worry, students, the bonus is definitely coming. It's just that the exact amount will need to be determined by the school in a follow-up meeting. Please be patient." Seeing the principal in an awkward spot, my father immediately spoke up to help him out. "There's no need for anyone to worry. We'll see how much funding the school can allocate. If it's not enough, the board of directors will make up the difference for this student. I assure you, it will be no less than 100,000, you have our word." The other students didn't react much to this remark. Remaining perfectly calm, Zhang Fan and Li Man, on the other hand, were doubled over with laughter. Seeing them laugh so heartily, the principal felt gratified and spoke up again, "Well, students, I'll take this opportunity to give you one final lesson. On the journey of life, we should take joy in celebrating the successes of others, just like classmates Zhang Fan and Li Man here. When Zhu Ke got into University A, they were beaming with more happiness than anyone. That kind of magnanimous spirit is something we should all strive to learn from." Upon hearing this, Zhang Fan and Li Man were stunned for a moment, then exclaimed in unison, "Wait, wasn't it Zhang Fan, Li Man, who got into University A?" "No way." Zhang Fan and Li Man's smiles didn't fade, they simply migrated to the faces of their classmates. This time, the entire room of students erupted in jubilation. "Well, I'll be. So it was Zhu Ke who got into University A. I knew it. Those two never looked like Ivy League material to me, right?" I almost didn't even want to clap. The principal, moved to tears by the thunderous applause, wiped his eyes. All his effort in that final lesson was finally worth it. At that moment, my father slowly rose to his feet, his gaze sweeping across the room before he cleared his throat. Everyone waited in hushed silence for what would come next. "I'd like to take this opportunity to explain a few things to everyone." 9. Zhu Ke is my long-lost child. We were only reunited a short while ago. Thank you all, the school leadership, teachers, and fellow students, for your care and support of Zhuku over the years. Today, it's my treat. Please order whatever you'd like." The classmates were stunned into silence. It took them a good while to process the news, and they were all overjoyed for me. Of course, it was a case of mixed emotions. I was waiting outside the hotel for my father to pick me up from the garage. Zhang Fan ran over and demanded, "You're Chairman Zhao's daughter. How could you not tell me something this important?" I just found it laughable. "Why should I have told you? What would have been different? Would you have left Li Man and fallen in love with me on the spot? Your affection is too cheap. It means nothing to me." Unconvinced, Zhang Fan grabbed my hand. "Didn't you always have feelings for me? Why the sudden change of heart?" I tried with all my might to shake off his hand. But it was no use. Suddenly, a figure rushed over and started pummeling Zhang Fan. It took me a long moment to make out who it was. Xiao Qingyu. Xiao Qingyu was the child who had been switched with me by the delivery nurse. He was a boy, and it was during a 6-year-old school entrance physical that it was discovered he was not the biological child of the Xiao family. Precisely because he was a boy, everyone assumed the swapped Xiao family child was also a boy, which significantly complicated the family's long-standing search for their real son. The Xiao family's attitude towards Xiao Qingyu has always been conflicted. On one hand, they felt he was living a life of comfort in their child's place, making them reluctant to treat him kindly. On the other hand, I also felt he was just an innocent child. Ever since I returned to the Xiao family, Xiao Qingyu has been well behaved and hasn't caused me any trouble. So, given that he doesn't stir up trouble, everyone tacitly agreed to let him stay with the Xiao family. Now that he's willing to stand up for me and confront Zhang Fan, I'm genuinely a bit surprised. 10. Not long after returning to the Xiao residence, Zhang Fan showed up at my door. "Kiki, it was all my fault before. I let you down. This time, let me be the one to properly pursue you. I'll treat you as well as you once treated me." Seeing his bruised face utter those words made me sick to my stomach. I was just about to curse him out when his phone rang. Cutting me off, Li Man's voice came through the phone. "Fan, my stomach hurts so much. I'm at the hospital. Can you come and stay with me?" Zhang Fan hesitated. I waved my hand impatiently, signaling for him to hurry to the hospital. I didn't want to see him for another second. Just before leaving, Zhang Fan made one last desperate plea. "Kiki, wait for me at home, okay? I'll take you to the movies as soon as I'm back from the hospital." I didn't respond. Instead, I reached out and slammed the door shut. Immediately after, I instructed butler Lu, "From now on, do not let Zhang Fan or Li Man into the house. I don't want to see them again. Is that clear?" After giving the order, I idly started scrolling through my social media feed. I was scrolling when I noticed someone had tagged me. Curious, I tapped to see who it was. It was Li Man. The photo showed Li Man's pale, slender hand with an 4 needle inserted. Her hand rested gently on Zhang Fan's, who appeared to have fallen asleep beside the hospital bed, exhausted. The photo was captioned, "Ended up in the hospital with cramps," and he insisted on staying by my side. I rolled my eyes dismissively and was just about to block her when I heard a derisive snort from beside me. I looked up to see Xiao Qingyu leaning in, a hint of playful amusement on his face. "Sis, do you know this Li Man?" "Yeah, she's a classmate of mine." Xiao Qingyu perked up immediately and started rattling off the story to me. "I've got this buddy who's a notorious playboy in our circle. He's got more women around him than you can count, and this Li Man is one of them. Every time my buddy finishes with a woman, he pours chili oil into the condom. He's paranoid some woman will steal his sample to try and get pregnant. That's exactly why Li Man ended up in the hospital this time. But get this, she posted on her social media saying she was there for menstrual cramps. Isn't that just hilarious?" I was speechless for a moment. That's actually kind of funny. 11. I didn't see Zhang Fan the entire summer vacation. It wasn't until I started university that I ran into Li Man. The moment she saw me, she started screaming, "Zhuku, you persistent witch, how dare you try to steal my boyfriend?" Zhang Fan gets drunk and can't stop calling out your name. With that, she lunged at me, trying to lay a hand on me. I sidestepped with ease, dodging her completely. Then, it was my turn. I charged forward and gave her a thorough beating. What's it to me if he slurs my name when he's drunk? If there's a next time, I won't be the one dealing with you, and it won't be this gentle. I've kept up with my workouts over the years, so I'm in decent shape. After that scuffle, I came out without a scratch. I gave a slight wave, and the bodyguard nearby caught on immediately, rushing over to escort Li Man out. Not long after that, news came that Zhang Fan and Li Man were getting married. I heard it was because Li Man was pregnant. Zhang Fan even sent me an invitation. I just glanced at it casually before tossing it in the trash. 12. Later on, I successfully secured a spot for graduate school without taking the entrance exam. After completing my master's degree, I went abroad to pursue a doctorate. After returning to my home country, I started a company with my family's support. I saw Zhang Fan again in a cafe, where he was sitting in a wheelchair. I was taken aback, as I hadn't expected his illness to manifest earlier in this life than in the last. His gaze settled on me, his eyes slightly reddened, his lips trembling faintly. It seemed 1,000 words were on the tip of his tongue, yet in the end, he only managed to force out a single, difficult sentence. "Long time no see, Mr. Zhu." I gave a slight nod and replied calmly, "Long time no see, Zhang Fan." Just then, a figure darted over and unleashed a torrent of merciless scolding and blows upon Zhang Fan, running off again. "Are you? I just stepped away to get my hair done, and you vanish, so this is where you sneak off to, fooling around behind my back. Take a good look at yourself. A cripple like you, who else would want you? You're lucky I'm kind-hearted enough to stick by you." Zhang Fan covered his head with his hands, his body trembling slightly, not daring to utter a single sound. That voice sounds so familiar. It seems like Li Man's face, originally contorted in anger, instantly transformed into a beaming smile the moment her eyes landed on me. "Oh, it's President Zhu. I was wondering who it could be. I see you on TV all the time. You're the very model of a successful businesswoman, and you've aged so gracefully. You look exactly the same as you did back in high school." Li Man has really changed. He had put on a little weight, and his speech had become noticeably more polished and worldly. My gaze drifted to a 6 or 7-year-old boy standing quietly beside her, a well-behaved and adorable child. "Is this your child?" "Yes, that's right, son. Say hello to Mr. Zhu." Zhang Fan and Li Man might be a bit unhinged, but their kid seems pretty well-behaved, I casually mentioned. Maybe the child should get a checkup too. If he did inherit his father's condition, early detection means early prevention. Li Man, however, waved her hand dismissively, a smile still plastered on her face. "Don't worry, my child has nothing to do with Zhang Fan. He's perfectly healthy." A jolt of surprise shot through me, but I kept my composure. I cast a seemingly casual glance at Zhang Fan. He was looking down, his hands gripping the wheelchair's armrests so tightly the veins stood out on the back of his hands. Anyway, this had nothing more to do with me. I stood up, ready to leave. Li Man's enthusiasm remained undiminished as she smiled and said to me, "Feel free to drop by my place sometime." 13. Stepping out of the cafe, I was met with a rush of fresh air. Xiao Qingyu had already parked his car steadily by the curb. Seeing me emerge, he quickly got out, a broad smile on his face as he came forward to open the rear door for me. After I settled into the passenger seat, he didn't start the car right away. Instead, he turned his head and peered curiously back at the coffee shop, his face a picture of pure, unadulterated gossip. "Sis, that Li Man is your classmate, right? Let me tell you something. Back when you first started university, she was already pregnant. Do you know who the father was? It was a tycoon in his 50s. After she got pregnant, she didn't tell a soul. She secretly found a place to have the baby, planning to show up on the rich guy's doorstep later to demand child support. But when she finally went to find him, the tycoon had recently died from a sudden illness. By then, his entire estate had already been inherited by his wife. As if the tycoon's wife would ever acknowledge Li Man's child, she had them both thrown out without a second thought." I was hardly surprised that Xiao Qingyu knew such detailed inside information. He doesn't have many other hobbies. He's utterly devoted to this kind of gossip. In our circle, he's practically a walking encyclopedia of rumors. Right now, he's looking at me with an expectant face, his expression like a schoolboy waiting for the teacher's praise. I shot him an exasperated look and asked with clear annoyance, "And then, Li Man married Zhang Fan with the child in tow. You think he was okay with that?" Xiao Qingyu had been waiting for me to ask just that. His voice rose with excitement as he said, "Because Zhang Fan has no idea the child isn't his." Seeing my puzzled expression, Xiao Qingyu grew even more smug and continued with animated enthusiasm. "After being thrown out by the tycoon's wife, Li Man immediately went looking for Zhang Fan. She tearfully told Zhang Fan that she loved him so much she was afraid he wouldn't agree to have a child. That's why she kept the pregnancy from him and secretly found a place to give birth. But you can't hide the truth forever. The older the child grew, the less he resembled Zhang Fan. He didn't even look much like Li Man. Zhang Fan's suspicions grew, so he secretly took a paternity test. That's when he discovered the child wasn't his. He was furious and wanted a divorce from Li Man, but she refused to let go. Clinging on desperately, getting divorced became impossible. As a result, they fought constantly, turning the house upside down. After one particularly heated argument, Zhang Fan suddenly collapsed, rushed to the hospital. He was diagnosed with ALS. From that moment on, he could no longer stand. I wondered to myself, Could it be that the extreme emotional turmoil had triggered his episode earlier than expected? Later, the next time I heard news about the two of them was in a local news report. The report stated that a paraplegic man in a residential complex, unable to endure his wife's relentless daily beatings, had ultimately taken his own life by charcoal burning. All three members of the family succumbed to carbon monoxide poisoning. I shook my head, a tumult of emotion swirling inside me. A moment later, I pushed those thoughts aside and refocused on the task at hand. That's all for the first story. Don't go away, the next one is even better. I deliberately disabled my phone's password-free payment and even entered the wrong PIN, locking the device. In the end, I wasn't the one who got upset. It was my sister-in-law. In my past life, my sister-in-law used the password-free payment on my phone to treat the whole family to a lavish meal at a world-class Michelin-starred restaurant, racking up a bill of nearly $1 million. I was left with $1 million in debt, unable to pay it back. When I confronted her for an explanation, she put on an innocent face and cried foul to the whole family. Sis, that's really too much. Did I do something wrong by treating everyone? Who knows what you used that $1 million for? Maybe you took out an online loan behind my brother's back. She was sobbing uncontrollably, and the whole family was berating me. Even my husband suspected I had taken out a loan to keep a young lover on the side. I was thrown out of the house, dodging debt collectors everywhere, under immense pressure. I was driven to jump. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my sister-in-law was hosting the dinner. This time, I happily followed my sister-in-law out the door. I finally got the government job. Tomorrow, I'm treating the whole family to a big dinner at that Jew restaurant. Huh, didn't my sister-in-law, Fong, already say that once? Wait, didn't I jump off the building? How can I still hear her talking? Wait, did I just get a second chance at life? Oh my god, restaurant you. A world-class Michelin star restaurant. Is nobody even interested? My sister-in-law kept pressing, but not a single person in the family said a word. The whole family knew they couldn't afford a place like Restaurant U, especially my mother-in-law, who had been poor her whole life and would even haggle over the price of a single scallion. She would never dare set foot in a place like U restaurant. But my sister-in-law just mocked the whole family for being so cheap. Look at you all, so pathetic. I've got a secure government job now, set for life. This meal is on me. As soon as she said that, everyone got excited, and even my 6-year-old son cheered along. My sister-in-law beamed with a smile, her vanity thoroughly gratified, but I was the only one who said nothing. In my past life, my sister-in-law treated the whole family to a lavish meal at a world-class Michelin-starred restaurant, a dinner that cost nearly $1 million. When the bill came, she pretended to borrow my phone and used my contactless payment to settle it. It wasn't until I got home that I discovered every online banking account on my phone had been automatically signed up for a line of credit. The total loan amount was exactly the cost of that meal. On the surface, she was treating me to dinner, but in reality, I was the one left with a mountain of debt. Debt collectors started showing up in waves. When I couldn't pay and went to her for the money, she turned the tables on me. Sis, that's really too much. Are you saying there's something wrong with me treating you to a meal? Just because I treated you to a Michelin-starred meal doesn't mean I'm made of money, so don't go thinking you can take me for a sucker. Who knows what you need that $1 million for? You didn't take out an online loan behind my brother's back, did you? As soon as they heard this, my husband and mother-in-law also sided with my sister-in-law, Lin Wanwan. Did you take out a loan behind my back? What do you need all that money for? You're not seeing some young gigolo on the side, are you? If you don't explain yourself clearly today, you can forget about staying in this house. With no evidence to back me up, I was utterly helpless and couldn't defend myself. Later, as creditors kept showing up at our door demanding payment, my husband and mother-in-law simply threw me out. Get out. The He family has no place for a shameless woman like you. I was homeless, hounded by creditors from all sides, and in the end, I jumped from a building in a deep depression. Even at the funeral, my sister-in-law and my husband insisted that I had taken out hundreds of thousands in online loans to support a secret lover. This left my parents branded for life with the shame of having a daughter who borrowed money to keep a man, living in misery and dying of a broken heart. Sis, what's with the brooding act? Don't tell me you don't want this Michelin star meal. Cut it out. My sister-in-law's voice snapped me out of the painful memories from my past life and back to reality. I gritted my teeth in silence. In this lifetime, Fong, you will pay back every single thing you owe me. 2. Seeing my stony, silent face, my husband immediately got upset. I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? Fong is treating us. And you're sitting there with a face like thunder. What a downer. I looked at the family before me and flashed a flawless smile. Who wouldn't want to eat a Michelin-starred meal? It's just that the prices are a bit steep. My sister-in-law is worried our family can't afford it. My sister-in-law laughed at me mockingly. Listen, sis, you really should get out more and see the world. As a government employee with a stable job, there's nothing I can't afford. Don't worry, it's my treat. My husband chimed in agreement. Hear that, my sister's treating. What do you mean we can't afford it? Look at you, acting all broke. I showered her with compliments. Feng Feng is the most accomplished one in our family. She landed a government job so young, and now she's taking the whole family out to see the world. The He family would be lost without you. Early the next morning, the whole family made a special effort to dress up for the meal. My sister-in-law, in particular, wore a dress that looked quite luxurious and had applied meticulous makeup. I figured she was planning to take plenty of photos once we got to restaurant you. As for me, I was just in a worn-out tracksuit, completely barefaced, ready to head out. Wait, hold on, sis, you're wearing that. My sister-in-law grabbed my arm, looking me up and down with utter disdain, as if I were something she'd scraped off the street. What's wrong? I feigned complete ignorance. Sis, that's restaurant you were talking about. A world-class Michelin-starred place. Even the waitstaff wear designer labels. Even if you don't have anything super expensive, you should at least dress formally. Otherwise, people will look down on you. It's so embarrassing. I shrugged my shoulders. But I don't have any formal clothes. My husband curled his lip. What have you been doing all this time? If you don't have anything to wear, then don't go. You'll just embarrass me if you do. Exactly. You don't even belong in such a fancy restaurant. You'd just embarrass everyone. My mother-in-law chimed in, seizing the opportunity. This way, we can order one less meal and save Feng Feng some money. 3. So I'm an embarrassment, am I? Fine, I just won't go then. I pretended to be angry and turned straight back to my room. My sister-in-law panicked and quickly stepped in to smooth things over. No, it's fine. Don't worry about the clothes. It really doesn't matter. Oh, Feng Feng, you're just too proper. If she doesn't want to go, so be it. It's not like we're short one person. Let's just go eat as a family. My mother-in-law still wanted me to stay. Fine. So I'm the outsider. Is that it? Well then, you all go eat as a family. I won't be joining. I turned to go back inside, but my sister-in-law held me back while trying to calm my mother-in-law. Mom, how can we have a family dinner without my sister-in-law? Let's all just drop it. Okay, sis. I didn't mean anything by it earlier. Don't take it to heart. Come on. I booked a luxury car for everyone. My sister-in-law smoothed things over with everyone, and in the end, thinking of the lavish meal she was treating us to, they reluctantly agreed to let me come along. I was walking at the back, and my sister-in-law, all smiles, eagerly offered to carry my bag. The luxury car service was already waiting. The moment we got in, my sister-in-law asked to borrow my phone. Sis, can I borrow your phone for a sec? What's up? Where's yours? My phone's dead. Can I use yours to check the map? A scene from my past life is playing out. In my past life, this is exactly how she used my phone to pay $500 for a luxury car ride without needing a password. How could I possibly make the same mistake twice? How can your phone be dead already? Feng Feng, you're so careless. I pretended to rummage in my bag for my phone, but under my sister-in-law's expectant gaze, I pulled out a power bank instead. But it's okay, I brought a power bank. I took the power bank out of my bag and handed it to her. Feng Feng, charge your phone, quick, otherwise, you won't be able to pay for the ride later. My sister-in-law's face instantly turned ashen. Sis, you're just so thoughtful, aren't you? After leaving that snide remark, she didn't say another word to me. I just pretended to be asleep and ignored any further calls. When we got out, my sister-in-law paid the 500 yuan fare with a sour look on her face. My mother-in-law didn't miss the chance to take a jab at me. Oh, what a rare treat to ride in such an expensive car. Too bad there's a ragpicker in it. Seriously, look at what you're wearing. You look like a beggar. Even the driver was giving me a look full of contempt. Even my 6-year-old son chimed in. Mom, you dress so frumpy. It's so embarrassing to ride in such a fancy car. I crossed my arms and scowled. Had enough. I've been putting up with you lot for ages. Acting like you're all so rich. Especially you. Hidawei, you think I don't know you borrowed that suit just for today? 4. Her husband's face flushed with rage, his eyes bulging. You wretched woman, I'll teach you a lesson you won't forget today. My husband was about to hit me when my sister-in-law quickly stepped in to break it up. Bro, we're right outside restaurant you. Do you really think they'll let us in after you start a fight? My husband cursed under his breath and reluctantly backed down. My sister-in-law led everyone into restaurant you, and the moment we stepped inside, the whole family was stunned by the luxurious decor. Wow, this place is so fancy, Fong Fong. How much is this going to cost? The waiter nearby enthusiastically explained to the elderly lady, "Good evening, ma'am, our minimum spend per person is 28,888 yuan, that expensive, so for 5 of us, it'll be over 100,000, that's practically robbery, come on, let's go, we're not eating here." When I first walked in, the waiter looked at my plain clothes with utter disdain, but now he was frowning at my mother-in-law. "I'm sorry, but this is a top-tier Michelin-starred restaurant, if you can't afford it, I must ask you to leave promptly. I have other guests to attend to." My sister-in-law's face instantly flushed with a mix of embarrassment and anger. Mom, please stop talking. You're embarrassing us. I told you I'm treating. We can afford it. Let's eat. The waiter scoffed. "Then please go to the dessert station first to order." The moment they arrived at the dessert station, the whole family went wild at the sight of the dazzling array of premium sweets, piling them onto their plates like there was no tomorrow. In no time, everyone's plate was piled high like a small mountain. My sister-in-law gave a helpless smile. "Look at you all, acting like you've never seen the world. If you fill up on dessert, how will you have room for the main course?" Then she shot me a glance, as if to say, "Why not order something more expensive? Someone else is footing the bill anyway." I shot her a look right back. The best is yet to come. My sister-in-law kept piling food onto her plate, while I didn't take a thing. "Aren't you having any dessert, sis? It's too expensive, I'll pass. I'm saving my appetite for the main course. Save you some money. I'll wait for you guys outside." Seeing I was about to leave, my sister-in-law immediately called out to me, "Hey sis, since you're already here, have something to eat." She handed me a plate and pulled me further inside. "Sis, can I borrow your phone for a second?" I frowned. "Again? Didn't I just give you a power bank?" 5. "Oh, sis-in-law, you don't know. New customers can buy a discount coupon here for just 1 cent, a fancy place like this, you've probably never been, right? Could you buy a coupon for me?" Seeing everyone's plates piled high with desserts, I happily handed her my phone. "Here, you can use it." My sister-in-law, seeing her plan had worked, immediately took my phone. "Sis, you can only get this at checkout. I'll hold on to your phone, you go pick out what you want to eat." The 5 of them nearly cleared out the entire dessert section. "Sis, you all go ahead and find a table, I'll take care of the bill." After shooing me away, my sister-in-law gleefully dashed to the dessert counter to pay. Seizing the moment I wasn't looking, she discreetly pulled out my phone. "Scan right here." The moment the cashier finished scanning, my sister-in-law happily picked up her tray and was ready to leave. But the very next second, the cashier stopped her. "Hold on a moment, the payment didn't go through. Please enter your PIN." My sister-in-law was completely dumbfounded. "Payment password, but I thought this was a password-free payment." "No, please enter your payment password." A cold sweat instantly broke out on her sister-in-law's forehead. "Just a moment." Then, my sister-in-law hurried over to me. "Sis, you need to have password-free payment set up to use that new user discount coupon. How come you haven't activated it yet? Why don't you set it up right now?" I pretended not to understand. "What's this password-free payment? I've never used it. How about I just come with you to the checkout?" My sister-in-law immediately got flustered when she heard I wanted to go with her. No, you just stay right here and sit tight. Just set up the password-free payment and hand me your phone." "Oh, alright then. How do I set it up?" My sister-in-law took my phone and went through the setup process. The final step was to enter a password for confirmation. "All set. You just need to enter your password to confirm." I took the phone back and entered a random password. A notification immediately popped up on the phone. "Incorrect password. 2 attempts remaining." I feigned confusion. That's always been the password. Why isn't it working?" Before my sister-in-law could react, I quickly and deliberately entered the wrong password 2 more times. The phone then displayed a direct message. "Maximum password attempts exceeded. Your account has been locked and no payments can be made." 6. Before my sister-in-law could even process what was happening, my account was completely locked. Don't even ask, she had it set up for password-free payments, so even if she wanted to use a password, it was impossible. The moment she saw the account was locked, she completely lost it and started cursing me out. "Are you out of your damn mind? I can't believe this. You can't even type the password right." I scratched my head, pretending to be embarrassed. "Oh, it's been too long since I used it." "Don't be mad, Fong Fong. Your brother is a new user too. Maybe you can borrow his again." Without waiting for her response, I immediately called my husband over. My husband looked at me with utter disdain. "I told you we shouldn't have brought her." He scoffed. "She can't even figure out how to set up a password-free payment. All she does is embarrass me." "Don't worry, sis," he said, turning to my sister-in-law. "I'm a new user too. I'll help you set it up." the cashier started to hurry us along, and without another word, my husband grabbed my sister-in-law's arm and pulled her toward the checkout counter. I'm a new user too. How do I buy the discount coupon? I'll get it. Hearing this, the cashier sneered, Sir, this is a premier Michelin-starred establishment, not some run-of-the-mill food court eatery. We don't have discount coupons. What? But you just said there was a discount voucher. My husband thought this would please his sister, but he ended up being ridiculed by the cashier. His sister was mortified and flew into a rage on the spot. Shut up. Will you? God, you're so annoying. Did I ask you to come over? Looks like none of you want to eat anymore. Huh, fine, I don't want any of this. My sister-in-law threw down the desserts everyone had just picked out and tried to leave, but the next second, she was stopped by 2 security guards. I'm sorry, but you have to pay for anything you've taken onto your tray. We can't resell it to other customers. The people in line behind them were already growing impatient. Oh, come on. Isn't restaurant you supposed to be members only? How did they let just anyone in? If you can't afford it, don't embarrass yourself by coming out. You look so shabby, can't even afford dessert. How are you going to pay for the main course later? Planning to live on air? Amidst the rising tide of jeers and snickers, my sister-in-law's face flushed with humiliation before she finally snapped and yelled out, What's all this racket? Who says we can't afford it? I was just worried that too much dessert would ruin my appetite for the Australian lobster later. I'll take all of it. Check. Please, that will be 888 yuan, please. Hearing this, my sister-in-law immediately backed down. How much? You must have miscalculated. How could this little bit of stuff possibly cost over 50,000? The people behind immediately started a new round of snide remarks. What? Have you never been to restaurant you before? It's perfectly normal for this many desserts to cost over 50,000. Are we already at the point where we can't afford dessert, trying to dine and dash? Are we? Waiter, call the police, and hurry up. Don't hold up the rest of us trying to pay our bill. What a disgrace. Her sister-in-law's vanity instantly flared up again, forcing an air of composure. She pulled out her bank card. Who says I can't afford it? It's just a little over 50,000. Charge it. But the moment the card was swiped, I could clearly see the look of pure agony on her face. 7. Once we were back at our seats, the whole family dug in and ate like there was no tomorrow. My sister-in-law was utterly disgusted, her face scrunched up in a frown. Have you people never eaten before? This is so embarrassing. My husband and mother-in-law just kept their heads down and ate, completely ignoring her. My sister-in-law was caught in a dilemma. She couldn't eat a thing and was busy figuring out what to do in her mind. At that moment, my husband suggested ordering an Australian lobster. I hear the Australian lobster is the signature dish at Restaurant U. We absolutely have to order it. Her sister-in-law looked at the price of the Australian lobster and broke out in a cold sweat. We've had so many desserts, we're practically full already, right? Maybe we should skip the main course. I heard their ingredients aren't very fresh. Huh. No way, a high-end restaurant like this, and their ingredients aren't fresh. Well, I heard someone ended up in the hospital after eating there just the other day. Next time, I'll take you to a different Michelin-starred restaurant. Hearing that, Grandma got scared. Then we won't eat here. Let's just finish our dessert and go home. Seeing that our table was about to leave without ordering any main courses, the restaurant manager hurried over to ask what was wrong. I see you haven't ordered anything. Is the menu not to your liking? My sister-in-law blushed and said nothing. You can guard against everything, but never the enemy within. My mother-in-law gave her away without a second thought. How can you even ask? Your ingredients aren't fresh. Someone ended up in the hospital just 2 days ago from eating here. Who would dare to eat at your place? The manager was furious and immediately produced the ingredient delivery invoices. That's pure slander. Every single ingredient here was air-freighted fresh from Australia today. We're your restaurant, a world-class Michelin-starred establishment. How could we possibly serve anything less than fresh? If there's a single item that isn't fresh today, I'll comp the entire dining room. The sister-in-law, who had just narrowly escaped disaster, now felt like she was being roasted over an open flame, before she could even figure out what to say. Her husband and mother-in-law had already started ordering. Oh, is that so? Perfect. We'll take 10 Australian lobsters, 10 king crabs, 5 servings of bird's nest, foie gras, wagyu beef, and this, we want it all. The sister-in-law was absolutely terrified and rushed to stop them. That's way too much food, we'll never finish it. Cancel the lobster and the king crab. Do you have fried rice? Just bring us a portion of fried rice. The restaurant manager shook his head. I'm sorry, but the order has already been placed and cannot be cancelled. Also, the portions here aren't very large. This probably won't be enough for your whole party. Upon hearing this, the husband immediately ordered a bottle of red wine. then bring another bottle of red wine, the finest you have." My sister-in-law was on the verge of tears. That's when I stepped in and answered for her. "Don't order any more, Feng Feng can't afford this." 8. The moment she said that, the room erupted in an uproar. "Feng Feng, your sister-in-law is just talking nonsense, right? You can definitely afford it, Feng Feng. Didn't you say yesterday that you have a secure job and money is no object?" The younger sister-in-law hung her head in silence. Seeing this, the restaurant manager immediately changed his tune. "Can't afford it and you still dare to come to restaurant you? I've seen plenty of freeloaders like you." My husband and mother-in-law were mortified and immediately started blaming my sister-in-law. "Feng Feng, you're not actually broke, are you? If you're broke, why are you pretending to be a big spender? You've embarrassed us all here." "Exactly, if you can't afford it, you shouldn't have brought us. I've been getting dirty looks all day." Even my 6-year-old son was scowling. "Auntie, you lied. Teacher says people who lie are bad." Seeing this, the restaurant manager wanted to call the police. Every year, so many people try to dine and dash here, and not a single one gets away with it. "Someone, call the police right now." Hearing this, the sister-in-law panicked instantly. Driven by vanity, she gritted her teeth and kept up the act. "Hold on, who says we can't afford it? I was just saying we ordered too much meat and wanted to add some vegetables." "What, are we not allowed to order more? Is this how you treat customers at your restaurant? What snobs. I'm going to file a complaint against you." Fearing a complaint, the restaurant manager quickly apologized to the sister-in-law. "My apologies for failing to recognize your importance, Ms. He. Please let us know if you need anything else. As a gesture of our apology, your meal today will be 10% off." The sister-in-law pretended to no longer be angry, giving the restaurant manager a haughty glare. "That's more like it. Now get lost. I'll call you if I need anything." The restaurant manager tactfully withdrew. Hearing they could get a 10% discount, my husband and mother-in-law got even more excited. A 10% discount. "Let's order more. This one, and this one, get them all." My sister-in-law tried to stop them but couldn't. Her face was expressionless, as if all the strength had been drained from her. I saw her whole body trembling, her eyes panicked, as if she was searching for something all around. 9. Once the table was laden with dishes, the whole family dug in and ate ravenously. Only my sister-in-law didn't touch a bite, as if she was waiting for the right moment. Finally, after everyone had eaten and drunk their fill, she stood up and excused herself to go to the bathroom, but her eyes were fixed squarely on the fire exit. I instantly understood her intention. She was planning to make a run for it. What a clever little scheme. She orders all this food, then plans to ditch us with the bill while she slips away. There's no way I'm letting her get away with that. So, I stood up and called out to her. "Feng Feng, I need to use the restroom too. Mind if I come with you?" I followed right behind her, and my sister-in-law was starting to get annoyed. "Sis, you even have to follow me to the bathroom. Can't you manage on your own?" I put on a pitiful face. "Feng Feng, your sister-in-law here is a bit of a country bumpkin. If I don't stick with you, I'll never find the restroom. You'll just have to put up with me." My sister-in-law cursed under her breath and trudged toward the bathroom, racking her brains for a way to shake me off. Just as we reached the door, she suddenly said, "Sis, I forgot to bring any tissue. Could you go back and grab a couple of sheets for me?" But I didn't budge. Instead, I flagged down a server and asked her to bring some over. My sister-in-law was fuming with rage, but I just kept smiling sweetly. "Feng Feng, didn't you teach me to call a waiter for anything I need?" My sister-in-law kept trying to shake me off, but I stuck to her like glue, and she never got the chance, left with no choice. My sister-in-law followed me back to our table, just as the restaurant manager arrived with the bill. "How was everyone's meal? We'll be closing soon, so could we please settle the bill first?" The whole family turned their gaze in unison toward the sister-in-law. The restaurant manager understood the cue and handed the bill directly to her. The sister-in-law took the bill, but after just one glance, her face turned pale and she nearly lost her balance. It was at that moment she had a flash of inspiration. She lay down on the floor and cried out, "My stomach hurts. What the hell did you feed me at this shady restaurant? Mom, brother, I'm in so much pain." Her mother-in-law and husband both grew tense. "I told you this place uses bad ingredients. You made my daughter sick. You're going to pay for this. You have the nerve to ask for the bill. If anything happens to my sister, this whole restaurant won't be enough to cover the damages." "Oh my God, help, it hurts so much. Mom, brother, get me to a hospital, quick." The scene was pure chaos. My husband hoisted his sister onto his shoulder and was about to leave, but the restaurant manager blocked their path. "You haven't paid the bill yet. How can you even think about the bill when I'm in this state? Just you wait, after I get checked out, I'll be coming after you for compensation." But just then, The sound of an ambulance siren came from outside the door. 10. Hearing the ambulance, my sister-in-law visibly shuddered. Who called the ambulance? She whispered, leaning against my husband's back. Fong, I called it for you. You looked like you were in so much pain. I thought the ambulance could treat you right here. I held up my phone, pretending to be concerned for her. My sister-in-law immediately lost it. She slid off my husband's back and flew into a rage. Are you an idiot? Who told you to call an ambulance? Don't you have anything better to do? Damn it, having a sister-in-law like you is just my rotten luck. I played dumb. Fong, how can you say that? I'm only looking out for you. If we just get you checked, we'll know if there's a problem, won't we? The restaurant manager caught on and quickly called for a doctor to come in and examine her. The sister-in-law flatly refused, and the restaurant manager's brow furrowed with concern. Ma'am, you said you had a stomach ache, but now that the doctor is here, you won't let him examine you. Are you trying to scam us? The young woman had no choice but to let the doctor examine her. The doctor performed an examination on the spot and informed the restaurant, there's nothing wrong with this lady's health. My sister-in-law flew into a rage and started cursing. Who said there's no problem? My stomach hurts so bad I can't even stand up. You crooked doctors. Are you in on this scam with the restaurant? Damn it, I'm going to sue you. The restaurant manager's smile vanished. I think you're the one running a scam here. You just don't want to pay the bill, do you? Was all this drama really necessary? I've seen plenty of dine and dashers like you. Who are you calling a dine and dasher? The ingredients in your restaurant are clearly substandard, and this ambulance equipment is far too basic. What could it possibly detect? Tell you what, why don't you settle the bill first? And then I'll accompany you to the hospital for a proper checkup. If it really is our fault, I'll refund you in full and give you 10 times the compensation. Well, my sister-in-law was at a complete loss for words. I let out a cold laugh. How could I possibly pass up such a perfect chance to get back at her? So, I chimed in, Fong, I think this restaurant is still reputable. Look, we're all fine, aren't we? Why don't you just settle the bill for now? If there's really a problem, they can always refund you later. Seeing the crowd of onlookers growing, my husband and mother-in-law, feeling embarrassed by the scene, also joined in. That's right, Fong, with so many people watching, you should just pay the bill for now. Fong. Let's see you try to wriggle out of this one. 11. Hearing that both her husband and mother-in-law were taking the outsider's side, the sister-in-law flew into a rage and started screaming at them. You bunch of country bumpkins. Have you never had anything decent? I'm sick, and all you care about is making me pay the bill. What? Are you forcing me to pay because you're afraid I'll back out? Well, I'm telling you right now, I'm not paying. It's not that I can't afford it. It's that you're being utterly unreasonable. Are you even my real brother and mother? Whoever ordered these things can settle their own bill. My sister-in-law looked at me smugly, but I had seen this coming from a mile away. I just shrugged at her. I didn't order a single thing, and I didn't take a bite. It was all my husband and my mother-in-law. The restaurant manager handed the bill directly to the mother-in-law. That comes to 988,000. Please settle the bill. The figure nearly made the mother-in-law faint from shock. Even between a mother and her own daughter, at this moment, everyone had their own hidden agendas and ulterior motives. The mother-in-law confronted her daughter-in-law directly. Fong, what's the meaning of this? Trying to scam your own mother? I said I didn't want to come eat here, but you insisted that since you got the government job and could afford it, we should come, and now you don't want to pay. Yeah, Fong. You'd even scam your own brother and mother. Trying to weasel out of it, is that it? At this point, the sister-in-law was only thinking about saving her own skin, completely disregarding her own mother and brother. So what if I did? I never told you to order so much. You all ate like you'd never seen food before, and that's my fault. Well, I don't have any money. With those words, the He family showed their true colors. The mother-in-law stepped forward and slapped the sister-in-law. You little wretch. How could I have given birth to a thankless brat like you, even scamming your own mother? Are you even human? My husband also grabbed hold of my sister-in-law, and the three of them instantly erupted into a brawl. I sat on the sidelines, munching on sunflower seeds and enjoying the show. Pure bliss. As the crowd of onlookers grew, I pulled out my phone and started a live stream. The live stream's viewership quickly surpassed 10,000. And the chat was flooded with comments trashing the sister-in-law's family. This family has some nerve, broke but daring to eat at restaurant you. Don't they know this place has top-tier security? If it were anyone else, maybe, but the real story is a mother, her son, and her own daughter getting into a fistfight. They ordered that many Australian lobsters. Even the wealthy wouldn't go that crazy. Where did they get the audacity? The three of them fought with increasing abandon, sending plates and glasses crashing to the floor. They had forgotten, This was Restaurant U, where even the cutlery was limited edition and custom made, costing nearly as much as the meal itself. 12. The restaurant manager, his face dark with anger, summoned security, who finally managed to pull the three apart. Stop fighting. This is not a marketplace. The total for the meal and the broken tableware comes to 1.5 million. Pay up, now. Watching my mortal enemies from my past life turn on each other like a pack of dogs, I felt a deep, secret satisfaction, just as I expected. When they heard the figure 1.5 million, my sister-in-law, mother-in-law, and husband just stared at each other in stunned silence. In the end, my mother-in-law and husband pinned the entire blame squarely on my sister-in-law. Fong Fong, this was all your idea. You should foot the whole bill yourself. After all, you were the one who offered to treat everyone. You guys were the ones who ordered all this stuff. Why should I be the only one paying? I don't have the money. Deal with it. Even though we're family, when personal interests are on the line, familial bonds can completely vanish. You promised to treat us. I don't care if you have money or not. Didn't you just land that government job? If you're short, go ask your boss for an advance. Exactly, you work for that department, don't you? This food is outrageously expensive. There must be something fishy going on. You should come and investigate them. The sister-in-law immediately perked up again. That's right, let me tell you. I work in the department responsible for oversight. Your prices are exorbitant. I smell a rat. If you don't let me leave today, I'll be back tomorrow to audit you myself. The restaurant manager sneered. Humph. Do you have any idea why our Restaurant U is considered the finest Michelin-starred establishment? He took out his phone and dialed a number. Hello, boss. Do you have an employee in your department named Fong Fong? Yes, that's her. She came here today, racked up a 1.5 million tab for a simple meal, refused to pay, and even threatened to come audit us tomorrow. My sister-in-law's phone began ringing immediately. Fong Fong, I heard you've been dining and dashing at your restaurant. Is that true? On the other end of the line, her sister-in-law forced a smile. Sir, please let me explain. It's all a misunderstanding, using the company's name to swindle people. Fong Fong, you're fired. Before my sister-in-law could get a word in, the other party hung up. What a shame. She had just passed the civil service exam, but she lost that iron rice bowl without even working a single day. Humph, serves you right. Who told you to be so full of malice? 13. As the standoff continued, the restaurant manager insisted on calling the police. That's when I stepped forward. Don't call the police, just scan this phone. I took out a phone and showed the payment QR code to the restaurant manager. The restaurant manager quickly scanned the code. With a beep from his phone, the screen confirmed the contactless payment was successful. Humph, since the bill is settled, I won't make a fuss. Now get out. We were thrown out of Restaurant U just 2 hours ago. My sister-in-law was beaming with joy, but now she looked utterly wretched, like a drowned rat. My sister-in-law was still in a daze. Sis, did you pay for this? I nodded. Yeah, I did. The whole family's attitude changed in an instant. Wan, you really paid for it. Where did you suddenly get all this money? Thank goodness for you. Otherwise we'd all be at the police station right now. But then, I handed my phone to my sister-in-law. Oh, you've got it all wrong. I paid using Fong Fong's phone. Her phone has password-free payment set up. Remember, it turned out that during their scuffle, my sister-in-law's phone had fallen out. I picked it up and saw that she had enabled password-free payments herself. So, in this life, it's her turn to know the taste of carrying $1 million in debt. My sister-in-law charged at me like a madwoman. What? You used my contactless payment, you bitch. You're pure evil. I'm going to kill you. But the next second, her husband grabbed her and slapped her across the face. Fong Fong, don't you dare push your luck. If it weren't for Wan, we'd be in jail right now. You had contactless payment all along and didn't use it to pay. You made us suffer all those dirty looks today. I shook my head with a cold laugh. These people would sell their souls to the highest bidder. They still haven't realized that for Fong Fong's unpaid loan, her mother-in-law and husband, as immediate family members, are jointly liable. One debt collection call after another flooded her sister-in-law's phone. Hello, I don't have any money. Stop calling me. Call me again and I'm calling the police. Debt collectors came knocking on the door every single day, threatening to smash up the place if the money wasn't paid. My sister-in-law was forced to ask her mother-in-law and her own husband for a loan, but the moment they heard borrow money, they refused to give her a single cent. Fong Fong, you were the one who insisted on treating everyone to that Michelin-starred meal. We're not paying off your debts for you. Unable to bear the harassment any longer, and casting aside any mother-daughter affection, the mother-in-law threw her out of the house. My sister-in-law knelt before me, begging me to take her in. But how could I possibly agree? The suffering I endured in my past life, It's your turn to taste it in this one, later. Hounded by debt collectors from all sides and crushed under immense pressure, she was forced to jump from a building. Later on, the debt collectors came for my mother-in-law and my husband. My mother-in-law died of depression, and I promptly divorced my husband. In the end, my husband, unable to repay his debts, was sued by his creditors, became a deadbeat, and ended up living on the streets for the rest of his life. The villains got their just desserts. I never used password-free payment again. This lifetime, it's finally my turn to live in comfort. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.